This year was a great year for film, but I'm concerned by the speeches at the Golden Globes, not because the films were terrible, actually far from it, but because the speeches themselves told us something about the way times have changed and the way we now present ourselves at these ceremonies. Remember Michael Moore talking about the illegal war when accepting his Oscar for Bowling for Columbine? Or do you remember even further back, Born on the 4th of July by Oliver Stone, when he said all wars are bad? And of course, Marlon Brando's famous second Oscar, where he didn't even turn up at all. Accepting the award was a native Indian who used a platform to remind Americans that they are living on stolen ground. Now, despite what your personal views are, the podium was often a place to tell a story and for the directors and actors to stand behind the film they had made. Two examples, Oppenheimer and Barbie. First of all, let's look at Barbie. Margot Robbie, she accepted the award with big smiles. Look, I certainly don't understand why you need to win an award for breaking box office records. It's like giving McDonald's a prize for handing out the most crappy, cheap burgers. Of course, they're going to make money, but as a population, are we any healthier? So Margot used the platform to say how overjoyed she was that everyone dressed up in Barbie costumes. The movie was okay, let's be honest, not as good as everyone made it out to be. It was as if people loved it before it was even seen. This is clever marketing, and Barbie had one of the biggest marketing budgets that film has ever seen. So the film was a hit before it was even made. It was a money-making machine from start to end, and the clever casting and choice of director, Greta Gerwig, was extremely clever. But let's see it for what it was. It put Barbie back on the map, and now Barbie products are selling like hotcakes. So what was the reason for this movie? And please feel free to write below if there was a clear reason that you thought there was for this movie. Maybe you found it entertaining, but it seemed sometimes that this film was trying to be more than just entertaining, and it was trying to tell us something. And I was very confused about the message. Was it to answer some feminist cause, or did it shine a satirical light on the ambiguity of our lives today? I really don't know. And going back to the speech, Margot Robbie did not mention anything about these aspects. Next is Oppenheimer, which swept up all the awards, it seems. It's an outstanding movie, long-winded but great. On first watching the movie, I was a little lost as to what Nolan wanted to say about the bomb and Oppenheimer himself. What was Nolan's feelings about the film? What was he trying to say about the bomb, and what were his views? I mean, he was happy to create a movie that took over 100,000 lives, but there was never really a clear idea of what he as a director personally felt. But his speech does not acknowledge the subject matter at all. So are we self-censoring? Did the cast and crew of Oppenheimer get together before the award season and agree to not mention politics or bring their personal beliefs to the forefront? If you look at Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr.'s speeches, there is no mention of the politics surrounding that film. That's strange because Oppenheimer is politics. It may make us feel very comfortable sitting at home to see these lovely gleaming Hollywood smiles and promise of happy times ahead. But for me, this is not a good situation. Granted, Oppenheimer is a much more ambiguous and complex story than most, and a general line about just war being bad probably wouldn't have had much gravitas to it, but it would have at least suggested that the film had a moral behind it. And you could also question whether it's the job of the cast and crew and the director to actually get into politics. Maybe it's not, but I do think a director should stand behind his or her work. Are we losing something here? Are we censoring our famous directors and our actors? And if so, is this a sign of a better future or a not so good one? Look, I'm not bashing the films. I'm more worried about the lack of voices that stem from the films. We are now left with comedians who say what everyone else is thinking, while the actors and directors applaud themselves and their fellow artists for being so amazing. What would Oliver Stone have said about these films, Barbie and Oppenheimer, and the speeches at the Golden Globes? I would love to hear your thoughts. Maybe the Golden Globes shouldn't be a place for politics. What are your thoughts? Please write below.